Much.
You're welcome.
We're back. We want to talk with Patrick and Angela about making donations. We talked a little bit about the needs that people have sometimes for the first time, and yet we know we have very generous neighbors, and a lot of people do want to help out and make things better for their neighbors and for their community. So if a family or a club or a school or a faith-based group or somebody wanted to say, well, let's collect some food and give it to our local food cupboard, what should they do? What are some basics?
Well, I guess people could start by asking themselves, if I'm going to have, say, a New Year's resolution to eat well, what would I eat? And it'll come to you naturally that those things are the things that you probably want to buy for the food cupboard as well. You have the food guide pyramid to go by. You know, you want to get lots of fruits and vegetables. People want to eat maybe 7 to 9 servings of vegetables and fruits a day. So that's something that's very important to get. A lot of the food cupboards ask for cereals. They don't have very much in the way of breakfast foods, and so that's important.
Okay.
And cereals are really important, and people can work on that with cereals. One of the cupboards actually had a lady that became lovingly known as the cereal lady because sort of her mission was to donate the cereal, but she would collect her coupons and wait for the sale, and then she would go and purchase as much cereal as she could for one of the local cupboards. So it is nice to have breakfast food available to families, and in working with that, with the sale and your coupons, you know, then of course you get more for your money, and that's more helpful to the folks in our community.
Okay, so thinking about the health pyramid, we're not talking about sugary cereals. We're talking about the basics, maybe with some fruits or nuts as part of them. When we're collecting fresh fruits and vegetables, I've always heard that that's kind of a challenge for food cupboards, like how do they keep them? So when you're talking about vegetables, you're talking about perhaps some canned items?
Yeah, usually it's a good idea to keep it canned. You can call your local food pantry and see if they have refrigerator space to be able to donate more fresh goods.
Okay.
But for the most part, if you're doing a food drive, you really don't want to even be handling it yourself, not to say have the pantry handling it.
Right, okay. So things like tomato sauce.
Great stuff.
What else?
Right. Lots of proteins. It's important for people to have protein in their diet, so foods like peanut butter, beans that come in a can that are non-perishable, or tuna fish, so that there's protein in the diet. Those would be also good items to donate to a food cupboard.
Okay. We have some couscous here. It's a grain, right? And pasta, are those kinds of things helpful?
There is a certain amount of resistance if you have, like rainbow pasta. People might find that to be kind of funny to look at, and they may not want to eat it as much.
So stick with the plain stuff.
Plain pasta, same couscous, they might feel they need lessons in how to cook, because especially a lot of people coming to the pantries, they don't have really good, well-developed cooking skills, and so sometimes the easier it is to prepare something, the better.
Okay. So another thing, the snap-off lid can be helpful.
That is great.
Sometimes homeless people don't have
Exactly.
can openers and so on. And beans that you could add things to, as well as prepared baked beans, for instance, right?
Correct. It's a combination. I mean, and when you go to the food cupboard, they're going to prepare a package for you that gives you some of your vegetables. Fruits in cans are also nice so that people can get some of their servings of fruits, the protein. So it's an idea of getting a balance. So we want good nutritional food to be available. And again, as we had said previously, it's always a good idea to check with the food cupboard. They may have a particular program. Maybe they offer something a little bit more to people that are diabetic, so there may be foods that would be more appropriate for diabetics that they would be interested in collecting. So again, I would suggest a call to the food cupboard.
Okay. And then say I'm moving and I just want to clean out my cupboard. Can I just take all that food and drop it off?
Well, yes, but we'd prefer you actually were a bit more selective about it.
Okay.
One of the problems, let's take beans for example, they'll last quite a long time, and they'll last a fairly long time past what's the best before date. Best before doesn't mean that it's bad, it just means that it starts to deteriorate a little bit in terms of its flavor, but it's at its peak up until best before. However, you don't want to go too far past there.
So take the time to check the dates.
Because what happens is that if you don't take the time, then the volunteers have to take the time, and that's one of the most onerous tasks they have actually when a food drive comes in, is having to go through everything and check out dates. dairy products, baby food, the date that it's on is like the
That's it.
destroy by date.
Okay.
You don't want to go beyond that.
Okay, good. And things like sardines, whether I bought them last week or, 2 years ago, and they're still sitting in my cupboard, they do have protein, but they're very kind of specialized in a peel. So
Right.
I should take the time to think about the most basics within that food pyramid.
Yeah, my sister likes sardines with peanut butter sandwich, but
I'm sure the cupboards would take them, but then it would be a select few that would actually take it from the
Right.
cupboard.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's really helpful. Any last bit of advice?
as much fruits and vegetables as you can. That's what we're really promoting these days, is
Okay.
to do that.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much.